Oh, good morning, everybody. You did not time travel. It is not 2018. I just thought that was so cute. I wanted to show it to you because the topic today is fresh start for the new year. And so we are going to be talking about New Year's resolutions today. So how are you guys doing? Welcome to the kickoff. Navigating Motherhood Spring Semester. I know your mouths are full, and I so appreciate that you being willing to eat and talk. We decided to add a few more minutes on as fast as I talked yesterday, so thank you for that. I'm going to challenge you to see if you can write and talk at the same time. So this is going to be fun this morning. So if you can all make sure you can find a pen and a worksheet, you will see how important that will be. I'm so distracted by these beautiful children here at unbelievable, you guys. They're so cute. I think Lindsay mentioned that I'm a new grandma. There's Lucas. So I'm a new grandma, and I'm just a mess. I'm so obsessed. I can't even believe it. So anyway, I know that all my grandma friends had told me and all those things. Doesn't matter. It's a whole nother experience, right? Actually being a grandma. So, but I managed to get something done. So I'm feeling like that's okay. It was shocking. So we're going to tackle fresh start for a new year. They were talking about New Year's resolutions and the little boy couldn't even remember them. So how many of you made New Year's resolutions this year? A few. Fantastic. Nice, Tracy. Okay, good. So I'm not going to ask you if you kept them, but I want to relieve you and let you know this. Quitter's Day already passed. Quitter's Day is January 12th. Can you believe it? Just 2 weeks after the new year, it's like most people quit by January 12th, so it's Quitter's Day. And 95% of people quit by the end of January. So somehow, and I'm sure they'll work for many of you, but somehow New Year's resolutions don't work. And really, they say that the reason they fail is because we make them too big. Right? We just make them way too big, and then we don't have a path to get there. We don't have actions or a process or anything like that. So then when I was researching this, I thought it was really funny because you know how you look up different things and like, oh, okay. And I think this was like on TikTok, which I don't have, but I found when I searched for it. It's like, oh, the new thing, because resolutions fail, it's New Year's intentions. And I thought, oh my goodness, I intended to run a marathon last year. And what a bummer. So good intentions are worthless, right? They're completely worthless if they don't lead to good actions. We've got to have action behind it. So I just thought, okay, that is way too funny. So we are going to look at a whole different approach this morning for our fresh start, new habits for the new year. We're going to be talking about habits. And so that part will be probably something just a little bit different. How many of you are interested in growing this year? When I say growing this year, good job, you guys. Yay. Okay, that excites me. Because really, as a leadership coach, I get to help people grow and change more in the business world. But I have a few tips and techniques that personally worked for me that I'm going to share with you today. And when we say fresh start, it's kind of like clean slate. You guys know what I mean? And because I'm a foodie, I'm a admitted foodie, I will say I think of a clean plate, right? Which really excites me. So you think of a clean plate, and let's say that you have a sumptuous buffet in front of you, and you get to pick what you put on it. So that's what this year is like, 2024. And I don't like to look back a lot. We're going to do that just for purposes of some self-evaluation this morning. But otherwise, we're not going to camp on anything we may have failed on last year because we've got this clean plate. So I'm excited. So given that, on your worksheet, we're going to have the first thing to fill in. I have a slide that we'll put up there, which is there's two different mindsets. So when we talk about growth for the new year, then there's a growth mindset and there's a fixed mindset. So with the growth mindset, it's really about being teachable, being open, being curious. And that's really what I train leaders to do. A challenge, it's not a problem, but it's something we can learn from. Failure, probably most of us have learned more from our failures than our successes. And that's really the growth mindset, this openness and a curiosity, let's say. A fixed mindset is, you know what, I'm good just the way I am. I'll stand just like this, right? And really, I've got all the information I need. Now, when I was doing this, what really surprised me, because I'm going to have you circle one, so just in case I don't make it clear, circle growth mindset is what we're going to focus on today, okay? But I will tell you this, in my 20s, I had such a fixed mindset. It's really silly to look at because I just knew it all. I knew it all in my 20s. And now it's 60 years old. I just think like, oh my goodness, there's so much information. I get to grow every day. So it's just a funny thing. There's a quote that reminds me of that I want to show you, which is next. And it says, we're going to get our slide up there. Perfect, thank you. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts, right? So in my 20s, I was a know-it-all, and then I started learning, right, with motherhood and so forth. So that's just a place to consider where we're starting. A starting point is get our thinking in right in that way, ready for growth. So when we look at this, growth mindset, and this may seem silly because I noticed at Holly's table, one of you guys had a toy with you, and I'm like, I brought a toy with me too. So when I think of growth mindset, because I'm a visual learner, right, I want you guys to meet Bob. This is Bob, little Bob, right? And so Bob is tiny and micro, and you'll see why in a moment, but check Bob out. Bob can be stretched any and every way. Like the growth mindset, he's resilient. Look, he pops right back, unbelievable. And it's really the sense that we're going to be stretched as moms out of our comfort zone, right? Especially as you have multiples too, like that's a whole nother level, right? You're leveling up. So you're going to be like, even more so like Bob. So Bob is my visual that he still has a smile on his face. He's okay. He got through it, right? We're not going to be given more than we can handle, and Bob's resilient. So you all will be actually graduating today getting your own Bob, right? So just know that, all right? So I have a Bob for each of you. We'll just keep it away from the kids and tuck it somewhere that you can see it only. So anyway, so knowing that Bob represents the growth mindset, I love books, and I went to the library, and again, as a weird obsessed grandma, with just having an infant, I was looking through books at the library, and I came across Alexander and the Terrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. And it used to be a family favorite of my girls, and we used to think, oh, that's so funny, Alexander had such a bad day. But I want to read you a page of it really quick, and let's just look at Alexander's viewpoint, okay? So here we go. I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard. And by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running. And I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That may have been like some of your mornings, right? We as moms have those kind of mornings. And he goes on where his brothers got the toy in the cereal box and he didn't. And it even got so bad that his mom took him clothes shopping. He's like, this is it. I'm moving to, any of you that have read the book, I'm moving to Australia. Exactly. He was out of there. So it's important that we look at Alexander's mindset. He had this sense that a lot of us end up being like Alexander sometimes, right? Just one thing leads to another, and we just get in that spiral. So with the growth mindset, we're really talking about how I view things is how I do things. How I view things is how I do things. So we really want to make sure that given the same experience, we can look at it completely and totally different. So the first place that we're going to start with our new habits for the new year, our clean plate, is that we're going to do a little bit of a quick self-assessment for 2023. So in doing that, I just want to look at your viewpoint for 2023, and I represent that in these houses on the next slide. So I have here 4 core emotions, and those are on your worksheet as well. Mad, sad, I won't act them all out. Mad, sad, glad, and scared. Okay, we know we have emojis that work for this. So those 4 human core emotions, when you look at those, take a moment, and the question was, what house do you live in? Last year in 2023, when you reflect back on it, which house did your emotions, your viewpoint, your attitude live in? Now, if you're like me, I have 2 houses, a vacation house, emotionally, of course, and a regular house, right? So you can circle 2, absolutely. But take a moment and just take that moment to be self-aware and just look back at that and circle a house or 2. Now later, you can put percentages to them. I have those on the bottom. Don't do it now. I had my banker husband do this for me the night before, and he was like on a calculator, and I'm like, no, honey, let's just circle one. So anyway, you don't have to get specific, and I'm not going to call on you right now, okay? So you get to just note that. So did everyone get an opportunity to do that? Okay, which house did you live in? Now, the next step that will go a little bit deeper is there's some big boxes right under it. And it says, what behaviors for 2023 do I not want to repeat, but I want to delete? I do not want to carry those behaviors or that thinking, that viewpoint into 2024. Can you write 1 or 2 items in that box that is delete? What would you like to delete from 2023? And again, this is a personal self-assessment. Please don't make it a person that you want to delete. It's a personal viewpoint instead, okay? Alrighty, and then I'm guessing there are things that you did that you were proud of last year that you want to repeat. So write an item or 2 in, I'd like to repeat these things and keep them foundationally for 2024 and carry those through. So what you want to delete and what you want to repeat. It's cool because in God's word, when I would be apt to like pointing at other people and, like, oh, it's their fault or it's my kids or whatever, God's word tells us to take the log out of our own eye before we work on the little speck in someone else's eyes. So we can work on ourselves much more. We really can't change others, but you get a chance to change yourself. So that's just an opportunity that we get to look at some cool new habits today. So are you guys all there? You did it? Okay, you're so good, and you're so quiet. That's good. That means you're thinking. So I appreciate that. So for me, when I was a new mom, I really looked back and I found out that I lived in the house of scared and sad. I was so worried about tomorrow and like what would happen with my kids and what college they would go to and all of those things, and worked for so many years. My oldest, I think Mitch, is 29, and my youngest now is 21. So I just think of all that work I put in toward their futures, right? When really I probably would have done a lot of things different than being scared and worried about, tomorrow in that way. But I really had felt lost and overwhelmed, trying to be a perfectionist and be in control of everything, like do it right, if that makes sense, when, most of my days went out of control. And I also found myself comparing, like, me as a mom with other moms or my kids with other kids. And it just felt like such a heavy burden. So that was not a good viewpoint or good thinking or attitude for me to come from. But The good news is, when I was 34 years old, I had 2 daughters that were under 4, so maybe like some of you. So I can't believe I was 34 one day, knowing I'm 60 now. It's kind of fun. But on October 10th, 1998, I finally surrendered my life to Christ. And I asked for forgiveness, and as a result, I was able to turn and put my trust in him and start living for Jesus instead of myself. And it's just so amazing that God did the work in me. And my heart was so stubborn. I was so unwilling. But to even imagine what he was able to do in my heart, which, affected my kids and so forth. And I just stopped doing things my way, but started doing things his way. And what a relief. He may be working on your heart as well, but that was really the day, and that was the moment since then that I started living the value of faith. So we're going to talk about values today. Values, in a sense, are your foundation for all of your habits. So all of your daily habits will be tied to your foundation of values. And when I teach leaders, I typically like them to pick 3 to 5 values that resonates with them of what they want to identify with and be, right? So we're going to actually be able to do that today, which I'm sure you're excited about. So on your worksheet, do you see the number 1? The next slide is identify your values. Can you write in that blank, values? So to me, it's kind of like panning for gold, and then you get those gold nuggets. Did you guys do that on 4th grade Sacramento trip? And you get those little gold nuggets, and that's kind of what I feel like values are. So can you turn over your worksheet for me? And we've got some words there for you that are different value words. And basically what I'd love for you to do is just take a moment, pick 5. As you read the words, just look and see what ones resonate with you, and just circle 5. It'll be a place to start. And from that start, you can always go back and shift as you decide. But right now, just in a quick way, would love for you to pick 5 and just put a circle around those. Those will be words that will guide your daily decisions, and really the foundation for your habits in that way. So good job looking and thinking about that. So my values, my main core values, I brought it down to 3. 3 is a number I can remember easily. Then I had 4 kids, but 3. And faith, which is always first, and then family and joy are my 3 that I embody. So when I have my head hit the pillow at the end of the day, I just look back at my values and I just say to myself, okay, did I live out my faith today and do my daily habits that I need to be doing to support that in my life? Did I love my family and friends that God gave me more than myself? And did I serve them with joy no matter the circumstances, right? No matter if, like Alexander, my sweater got under the sprinklers or the the faucet. So that's an idea of how you evaluate each day in light of your values. So whether you have 5 or whether you have 3, it's just a good place to start. So given that, you can't guarantee that you'll accomplish a goal that may be out there or a resolution that's out there, but you can just decide, I'm going to live by these values, and just check yourself on a daily basis. So good job on that. Did most of you get to circle 5? Okay, not 24. Did anyone look up definition for the words? No, good job. Just do it. Okay, thank you. I saw a couple phones out yesterday, like checking it out. Let me see. Anyway, that's so cute. So you're to number 2. Wow, look at us. Number 2 on your worksheet is start small with daily micro habits. Micro is small, right? Like tiny, microscopic, like Bob. I don't even know if you guys can see Bob. So micro habits. So doing something small can lead to big results. It's crazy just to even to think how little small changes can make a difference and can really matter. So according to the habit expert, James Clear, he says that 1% different each day in a particular habit, like by just you picking one micro habit and doing it each day, that can result in 37% growth for the year. Can you imagine sitting here next year at this time and having just done one little something and it be 37% better than you were this year, which is really exciting. One thing to think about is that bad habits do the opposite, right? So we also want to cut those things out. That's a whole nother talk, right? So Atomic, we have a quote up next, and the outcomes that we have are results of our habits. I'll read this quote. The seed of every habit is a single tiny decision, but as that decision is repeated, a habit sprouts and grows stronger. The task of building a good habit is like cultivating a delicate flower one day at a time. And that's from Atomic Habits. Atomic meaning small, tiny, but again, powerful change. So examples of this, I'll give you examples, and the first two are kind of silly, but of a small micro habit. Let's say that I used value of health. And with the value of health, I decided I'm going to start a fitness program, right? So don't you guys laugh, but let's just say I did. And as a result, I put my shoes, I decided I'm going to walk every day or run or whatever. I put my shoes out on my front porch because all my micro habit is something I'll do 90% of the time. It's so easy. It's 2 minutes. I can do that at least, even if my day blows up. So I go out to my front porch and I lace up my shoes. So what am I bound to do at this point? I'm bound to walk, right? You guys didn't say run. Okay, I get it. I'm bound to walk. I'm bound to run. Milo gets a walk, whatever. But I've got my shoes on and I'm ready to go, right? Another one would be if I decided, okay, I'm going to floss my teeth. Then after brushing my teeth, I could decide I'm just going to floss one tooth. So as a result of having that string there, what are the odds that I will probably dig in and do a little bit more? But it's more the entry, the ramp to get there that's harder than anything. It's kind of like just getting in the car to get here, right? It's like 90% of the battle. So the micro habit is just something small. So I had a cool example for you guys that I don't know, it just thrills me. And Lindsay mentioned that I'm a Bible study leader on Tuesday nights, and we're in the book of James right now. But last year, a woman was assigned to my group. Her name is Shirley. And so I got to know Shirley and meet her. And of course, she ends up being one of my neighbors, like a street away, which is just like God. But what's really cool is she signed up for the Bible study. She'd never read the Bible before, and she just was interested in God's word. She had just gone through the Women in Faith program that we have and got interested in understanding about the Bible and what its impact was. So she really was interested in studying the Bible. So I presented the challenge of let's read through the Bible together in a year, together. And she's like, oh, I'd like to do that. So 7 of us decided we'd get on a little text string, just really easy and quick. And so with Shirley, the micro habit was going to be even a page a day. Big deal, a page a day. If you're going to grow, you should be reading each day. What better book than the Bible, especially if you haven't read it. Bestseller of all time, right? Just a page a day. Big deal. So, but we all made sure we had the app, the daily Bible reading app, which is easy. It's 11 minutes a day. Like on our phones, we had our text string to be able to pressure each other. for accountability, that positive peer pressure, right? We were ready to go. Well, our kickoff for this year was just the second week of January, and Shirley comes, and sure enough, she's had this goal since middle school. She is about to be 70 years old, and she read through the Bible in a year and did it every single day, starting as a little micro habit and just let that grow. And she was just beaming. It was a life achievement for her because she ended up taking that 11 minutes a day and doing it and reading it through. And the thrilling part is Shirley's now in charge of our little text string. She's like, let's do it again. And we're like, good job, Shirley. So she's in charge of our text string because we get a little reward, like a silly GIF, once everyone posts that day. Really easy, and we're just doing check marks. So anyway, it was just such a neat thing because now she's inspiring her grown daughters, like, wow, Mom, if you did it, I guess we can do it. And so really is an inspiration in that way. And to me too. I just think that's so cool to be able to take on something new and grow, especially since middle school, that she's wanted to do that. So I just absolutely love it. A personal example of a micro habit for me that I applied several years ago, thankfully, as a busy wife and mom of 4 daughters, and at this point, I think we had entered the teen years. I'm certain we had entered the teen years with my 4 girls. So I know you guys can relate to me. So I was thinking to myself, okay, I really need to do things differently, because what I found was, in this next picture, you'll know that I'm a visual person. I learn by pictures. In this picture, you see a thermometer. See that thermometer? And a thermometer tells the heat. When it's hot, you can see the heat, right? It's 90 degrees and you can feel it. And what I realized is, in leadership, I really train that you don't want to be that thermometer leader, that it's hot and that people, when you're upset, everyone feels it. But you want to be more of a thermostat leader. And the thermostat leader is able to stop and listen and cool things down a bit, right? When things get hot, we'll say. So I realized that I was reacting when I get stressed out. I was reacting and being more like a thermometer, and my family could feel it. Like when my husband walked in or whatever, like he's going to feel the thermometer. So I wanted to be more of a thermostat type of mom. So I decided that I wanted to delete that behavior of reacting when I was under stress, and that certainly is still going to come up sometimes, and create a 2-minute micro habit of listening. A 2-minute micro habit of listening. So just knowing that, I realized I needed to have a longer fuse. I had a shorter fuse that I would react, and I needed, as a mommy and wife, to have a longer fuse. So this 2-minute ask listening, there's a space on your worksheet to write it in, and you'll see it's a microscopic space. So sorry about that, but we're gonna try to stick these words in anyway. So it's an acronym. Again, I remember things in threes. It's an ask model, and ask to me, when I made it, was ask questions, because I tended to push a lot of nagging on as opposed to pulling information out. And I really wanted my house to be a place where people felt listened to, right? Because in this world, they certainly have lost their listening. The A stands for stop and be attentive. Be attentive to your child, and or when your husband walks in, just stop and be attentive. So you can put attentive in that blank. The S is seek to understand. So whatever's going on, as opposed to reacting and trying to fix it and to not listen, but just seek understanding. So try to stick that in that little blank, seek understanding. And the K is keep encouraging and reflecting. Reflecting is like a mirror. Say a word back to them that you heard. So as a result of that ask 2-minute model, it was shocking that I would okay, someone's coming in the house. I'm going to stop. I'm going to completely do the ask model. And 2 minutes is a long time, you guys. It's shocking. And I'm not saying only listen 2 minutes a day, but the micro habit helped me build up to be a better listener than telling all the time, actually knowing what was on my girls' hearts. And that's just so, so important. I knew that I needed to equip them such that when they went to school for their teachers or work with their bosses or their spouses for the rest of their life, that they could have seen modeled and be equipped to be a good listener. So that's where your micro habits come in, because sometimes we can just get on automatic pilot and we're like air traffic control and we're just trying to solve everything, right? So anyway, that is just a little something. What was cool for me was that in God's word that it tells us to do this. So the little blank under that, we're going to fill in together. This verse I just love so much. And it says, let every person be quick. So write in the word quick. I have it in all caps. Quick to hear. Just like your mom told you about 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? So be quick to hear and then slow to speak. And what do you think? Slow or quick to anger? Good answer. Yes, ladies. Okay. So not like the reactive short fuse, but be slow to anger. And that's James 1:19. So the cool part is that not only was I getting to obey God's word by doing this ask listening, but I got so smart. You guys, it's amazing when you listen how smart you get and you really know what's going on. It's like, wow, you really can't learn a lot from talking. And really hard for me as my profession, but that's okay because I don't talk all the time, I promise. Anyway, so knowing again that being listened to creates that safe haven in my home, that they feel like, oh, they can come there because they're out fighting everything all day, but they'll be listened to in my home. So that's a micro habit. So really good habits can be developed through small behavior changes. I have a cool little chart here for you, and there's not blanks to fill in. You can take a picture of it or put notes somewhere on your thing, but this is our next slide, which is how to create a good habit. So there are just 3 things that are really simple again. My rule of 3 here, which is make it obvious, make it attractive, and make it easy. So these little micro habits have to be obvious, attractive, and easy. An example of obvious is this. It would be like to work out. I'm going to put my clothes out the night before. I'm going to change my environment, like for Bible reading, for example, where I have a specific place, a couch that I'm going to sit on. My Bible's ready. I've got my Bible app loaded. And at 6:30 a.m., that's where I'm going to be. And there's clarity of making it obvious that anything in that room is going to point to read your Bible, Susan, right? So that's making it obvious. So whatever it is for you, for your micro habit, that first one is optimize your environment to make sure it's obvious. Now, making it attractive is kind of like our group with Shirley, and that is group peer pressure. I love that you guys have groups here because you have this like positive group peer pressure, and it always helps to have a cheerleader or have someone that you're accountable to, because I find like I'll do it for someone else when I may not do it for myself. I don't know about you guys, but okay, let's do this together. It makes it a lot easier. So making it attractive is that change will happen when adults together, if you've got a great group of people moving in the same direction. Again, that's the same thing with negative groups. So you want to unhitch your wagon to those and make sure that you stay with the attractive, positive groups that are going to align with your values and your habits. And the last one about make it easy is really 2 minutes, right? Really make it easy to start. And you can hijack other habits that you already have. The example of, I'm going to brush my teeth, I can go ahead and floss 1 tooth. It's kind of hijacking a habit I already have with hijacking, with Bible reading, I have to have my morning cup of coffee. And you guys, I really should be cut off at 1. For sure, because that's all I ever have each day. It's shocking. But Brooke just made me one for after, so I'm excited. Susan and Brooke hooked me up. You guys, I'm going to be out of here. So anyway, my cup of coffee in my little Ember mug. I even have my Ember coaster there in that room. I'm just obsessed with that. I don't get my coffee. I don't get that satisfaction unless I'm reading my Bible. So I just associate it with this wonderful experience of that. So that is a way of hijacking or making it easy on a habit that you already do. So whether it's you're in the car, seatbelt click, put something for growth on for you to be able to hear, that is the example of making it easy. I wanted to be an orderly person and have an orderly home. So I had read something about if you just make your bed, everything changes. And so years ago I thought, okay, when I put my slippers on, I'm going to throw the cover over the pillows and my bed is made, right? Because everything else may be a disaster, but I really feel, this is orderly. Then every time I take off something, I'll take 2 minutes, I'll hang it back up. So the things I make my kids do, right? But then anyway. Okay, sorry. I can get off on a tangent and I won't. But the important part about your little habits is to reward yourself. So I have an orderly home, even if I have one room that's in control. That's my control room. But I reward myself, and I want to encourage you guys to reward yourself. I reward myself each week with $10 of flowers from Trader Joe's because I have this thing. I love flowers. For God to create them like fish in the sea, all the different looks, they're so beautiful. And I feel like so much less of a loser when I have fresh flowers in my kitchen, and that $10 each week, like I trim those babies every day. I'm changing the water. I'm like, keep going. I bring them to the Bible study group and put them on the table. It's just like, that's my reward, right? So anyway, I just want to encourage you, think of a reward for yourself. You don't have to spend any money, but anyway, that's paid off for me. Track your new habits on a calendar, anything you can do, like the check mark emojis, whatever that takes. So that is a little bit about how to create a good habit, how to break a bad habit. It's just the opposite. Make it invisible, make it unattractive, and completely just make sure that it's difficult. So if I just feel like, I can't believe I binged on Netflix again and I just wasted, I don't know if it's a day or a half day or whatever, like, I'm such a loser. Make it difficult by just unplugging the TV, deleting the app, right? It's like anything that can make it hard, like, why is my TV not going on? You're like, I did that to myself. Interesting. I made it difficult. Okay, I better go in the other room. Okay, but the other thing is that just like people in grocery stores, they put the junk food right at your eye level, right? Forget it. Make it invisible. Ditch the junk food or put it up really, really high. My C's truffles that I get 1 per week, it's so high I have to get up on a chair and get the box out like I'm Santa Mouse with a little square of cheese and eat my 1 little truffle with my little glass of milk. But just make it hard, right? But kick the reward. You guys know way too much about me now, so sorry. Okay, so that's how to break a bad habit, how to make or create a good habit. And again, they're small, right? So given that, we are going to go to number 3, yay, which is make today count. So in that blank, let's put the word today. Make today count. So another weird thing I read, the average lifespan is 4,000 weeks. You guys, 4,000 weeks is the average lifespan. So of course I get on the calculator with being 60 and I'm like, okay, I've got about 1,000 to go, right? Lord willing. I thought I better do something important. But oftentimes we end up using our day worrying about tomorrow. And really that's not what we're supposed to do. We really want to make today matter. The Bible says not to worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. And this is God telling you this. Each day has enough troubles of its own, and they do, don't they? It's just like, oh my goodness, just getting dressed sometimes. So to think that, it's just like, oh, okay, God tells me not to worry about tomorrow. What's my problem? I got to get over this, and I want to be able to make today matter. But I will admit to you guys, I'm a recovering, again, knowing too much about me, I'm a recovering procrastinator, okay? So I can procrastinate, well, I used to, like the best of them. I can really do that. I will do any and everything to avoid something big, like putting my Christmas stuff back up in the attic. I just get this block, but all my things are cleaned out, my car's clean, but I just can't get to that thing, right? So I keep moving things into tomorrow. But what we know is that we gotta make today matter. It's too late for yesterday. No more pining and beating ourselves up for that. We're gonna focus on today, make today matter, because with tomorrow, we often overestimate it, right? We think of all these things we can roll into tomorrow, and that doesn't happen either. So really what we want to do is our greatest gift, we recognize our greatest gift is the 24 hours we have in front of us. This 24 hours right now is a gift, and how are we going to invest it? John Maxwell, one of my favorite leadership authors, and he has a book called Today Matters, and it's old, but I have it on audio. I just love him. So he says, make each day a masterpiece. Make it a masterpiece. So really knowing it's a gift, and I love art, is like, okay, I can make it a masterpiece. Grow in some way every day is what's the important part. So when you lose time, you lose it forever. And the values that we talked about earlier on the back of your worksheet is really going to be the foundation for you to tie some micro habits to, maybe 3 to 5, and just at that point to tie those little micro habits to, and doing those things today, you'll find a huge difference. It's not like the big resolutions. But we're going to take on a project today to put these things in action that we just learned. So isn't that exciting, you guys? Group projects. And in so many things are going through my mind right now at how much my girls hated group projects in school, right? But anyway, we're going to start now making today matter. Every Friday, you guys have committed to navigating motherhood, and you're going to spend the morning here, that 2 hours here. How can we really make it matter? How can we make that 2 hours be a masterpiece? Because again, thinking what it can lead to next year at this time could be incredible when we sit here together again, right? So I asked some alumni from NAVMO as well as some leaders for just some items, and on the bottom of your worksheet, I'd like you to note some of these as I go over them, some of these ideas I gathered, and you may have some ideas on your own. Just little micro differences that can really impact this semester to maximize your growth. So on this particular list that I've got, which is the next slide, there we go, perfect, we are going to look at just show up. Right? That's like half the battle. Again, get in the car. Your morning is going to blow up most likely, right? That's going to happen. But no matter what, get in the car. Certainly if the kids are sick or you're sick, no. But make being here a priority, just making sure that you get here. It really doesn't matter what you're wearing, just get here, right? That would be important, is to just show up. So that's one. Now, if you're like, but Susan, I had perfect attendance last semester. That is awesome, you guys, and I have a little prize for you at the end of this. And that's a huge thing. Just getting here is amazing. But if you already are doing that and you've got that commitment, then take notes. Now, today I forced you to, right? So you're like, oh, I better talk about peer pressure. But in terms of every week, you're given a worksheet. Take notes because you're sitting there anyway, but the fact of pen to paper really helps you retain the material in your brain, and it will really maximize your growth, even if it's just this that you're doing this year. The next one is, oh, Susan, I already take notes, and that's fantastic. So highlight one item at the end of each teaching that morning before you go into group discussion that you're going to apply today. So one item that you are going to apply today. And that would just be an easy something to do. Now, again, if you're doing that, you could take your worksheets, because I just think this is like the most important course you could take. Think of like Motherhood. Did they offer this in college? I don't know. But you've got a semester, and this course to think of being a better mom and wife, it's like, that's for the rest of your life. So you take your worksheets, 3-hole punch them, put them in a binder, and then keep looking back and refer, but it's almost like a real course. Or go to the dollar store and get a composition book or a journal and take notes in the journal instead, so you could look back and even make some notes in it. But again, that's going to help you retain. So that's another idea. We've got participate in group discussions. So I so want to speak sometime on different personalities, but it's so fun with personalities. We are just all so unique, like the flowers I mentioned. So we've got us extroverts, right? I know you want to raise your hand and say, amazing, those extroverts. But when we participate in group discussions, it may look a little different. Maybe I should just answer one question, and I will practice ask listening the remainder so that I can learn and I can practice what I just preached, right? Now, if I'm an introvert like my husband, then he's going to have to say, I'm going to answer one question. I'm going to put my voice in that group, and that would be a micro habit or a stretch. Because you know what? It's just a gift to everybody else when your voice is in the group and you feel so connected. So that would be to participate in group discussions. Ask questions and be curious. Asking for help is not a weakness. I really try to emphasize this for leaders, like, oh, I need to be the perfect leader. You guys, asking for help is so smart. There's so much wisdom in asking for help. You've got mentors and leaders here, people that are mentors in my life that are just amazing with their wisdom. Ask for prayer. Ask for help. It's really not a weakness. It's an incredible strength. So be sure and do that. And though all of us, there's not one perfect person, Sunday school graduates, there was one, and it was... Good answer. Look at that. In Sunday school, you'll get way through if you just say, Jesus, Jesus. Yes, that's the answer. So that's perfect. So the other one is build relationships with group members and your leaders. So there may be one person that you're just like, wow, that person, that could be fun. Let's go to the park or something like that. But just make sure to build a relationship and some connections. You can start with one, you can start with more, but also be responsive. I just think that, again, I know it's a busy mom, like with texts and things like that, but with your leaders, they love you. They're here praying for you. They really committed this semester to navigate you through this. So there may be a time in a day, like Thursdays when the kids nap, that you are more open to texts than others. So just let them know that, or to have a cup of coffee or whatever, but just make being responsive a priority. And my favorite, and not to influence you, but I will, is the last one, because I love recapping. To recap and review when you go home, today at the dinner table, what you learned with your worksheet is really such a great way to, again, retain. 90% of what you learn in each teaching, you'll retain if you go home and you share it with your spouse or a friend on that day. So that's a really great one to adopt too. So if you haven't already, could you take one or two ideas and write them in the last blanks? How many of you were able to capture a couple? Did you capture a couple? Okay, perfect. And if you didn't, you can take that pressure now to do that, because I feel like we completed our worksheet as much as I made you do it. I think you accomplished that. So thank you so much. That encourages me so much for you just to get that stuff down, because again, we put it off and we just don't end up doing it. So knowing that, you guys used some muscles today, and I so appreciate your time and attention. We've identified some thinking that we want to delete from last year, and hopefully you've identified some values that you can foundationally start tying micro habits onto, and remembering the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset, and that our daily micro habits, 1%, little change a day, leads to 37, good, you guys are so awesome. 37% times the growth this year. So just remember to consistently take action. Action is the step on what you learned this semester. And really, we can decide to be more like Bob than Alexander, right? This semester, again, the way we view things is the way we do things. And it's just been a joy to be with you guys today. And I so appreciate your warmth and attentiveness. And I know you're going to have a wonderful semester. I'll be coming by with your little envelope of Bobs, one for each of you. So anyway, have fun and have a great group discussion. Get some commitments going on too. So thank you guys.